Hello, it's been a fast minute. Welcome back to the Jordan Michaelides channel. Today, we're going to be talking about small business and how, in particular, to market for small business in 2021. Running an agency, I've seen it all over the years. We get a lot of inbound clients. We get a lot of queries and questions. And recently, I get a lot of questions around what should I do when marketing a small business. Most issues, I believe, when I speak to small businesses, come down to the fact that people haven't properly honed in on what their product is. So what's the positioning? Who does it actually fit? Who would be the best user of the product? And then coincidentally, how do they market that at a very basic level? Many entrepreneurs, because of that, end up chasing fads. I've seen lately there's this new term thrown around. It's called the Contrepreneur. And most often entrepreneurs are going for these courses, the newest social platform, in the hopes of solving these problems that we have in marketing. Clear example here I see in Australia is to do with Amazon and solving that small business problem. And the guy's name is Adam Hudson. I like to call him Uncle Chompers. And like I said, a lot of these entrepreneurs, they want to sell you in this case, a course in a competitive space that really, if there was an advantage in selling you this sort of thing, they probably wouldn't even give it to you. They would just start a business themselves. So the reality is they're selling something that generally can be found on the internet. And like I said, in most instances, a lot of these entrepreneurs who buy these courses just don't have a fundamental understanding of marketing. I had a recent example with a client. It was an inbound query. Customer came to us and said, hey, we want to make a video and we want to push this all over Facebook to build up impressions and views and whatnot of this brand, this newly launched brand. They didn't have a website, number one. They didn't have pay-per-click and Google Ads set up and no basic SEO. That is low-hanging fruit that really should be captured. And I think to spend $10,000 to $15,000 on a video and Facebook campaign is just pissing money up against a wall, essentially. So how do you do it? How do you actually approach this topic, particularly in the era now? It's 2021. COVID has happened. How do we actually approach marketing? And I think it's really easy. It hasn't changed in the last couple of years. Just merely the platforms that you have available have changed. And that is you just get back to basic. So the number one thing we do with all of our clients, no matter how they onboard, is we give them a marketing plan. We go through, break it down, look at how is their business placed and how should they be looking at each channel. Now, at a basic level, if you're a B2B business versus B2C, let's say with B2B, you should absolutely have a website set up. You should have some sort of basic SEO. You can have your social network profile set up because that may come in handy later on. But if you don't have pay-per-click and you're spending all this time on social, quote unquote, social work, then you're just wasting your time. I think those as a basic point should be where you're looking at. And then anything that really supports sales, depending on what type of service or product that you're selling. For B2C, at a very basic level, you should be set up on the correct platform for your niche. So if you're selling products, you should absolutely be on Shopify. And you should have the little things like Facebook and Instagram set up, etc., so that you can start selling to your friends, engaging the community. You can get an understanding of what various hashtags exist for this community. And, we had a recent example or interview really with a guest on Uncommon. The guest's name was Indiana, Indy for short, founder of a social agency, Simply Social, and a PR firm. And I just want to include this little clip that gives her perspective on social in particular. Where do you guys find yourself? How are you often differentiating yourself to people?
Strategy.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love strategy. And without a good strategy, you cannot be successful in social.
And is that strategy to specific industries or just generally?
any industry, as long as you get to know it and you get to know why they're in the business and why they do what they do and why they've produced these services or products to a certain consumer. That's so fun. Like, we've done strategies that people still use today.
So if you would say the thing that you're good at, strategy,
and community management, posting, scheduling, copywriting, it all kind of falls under strategy, but we really nurture audiences and community, because without community, what have you got?
Yeah.
What do you have on social if you don't have a strong community?
Yeah, you've got a controlled message going to no one.
Community can do anything, you know?
Yeah.
You launch a new product into that community, sold.
From that point, if you've got those basics set up, the obvious next move is Google Ads or Facebook ads. But before you look at any of that stuff, you really should be looking at a marketing plan. And I want to show you guys what we do with our customers. All right, so marketing strategy plan. This is what we send all of our clients at a basic level. The key things around positioning that we like to ask: what is your unique selling point? How do you differentiate yourself in the market? What are the product services? Obviously, the key benefit. How are you pricing? And then unit economics. Unit economics is very often overlooked by people. Some people think, I'm going to get into this business, I'm going to get into that business, and this is how we're going to get new clients. And sometimes that model of acquiring the clients, renewing them, keeping them, whatever it may be, does not match the amount of revenue that you actually make from the sale. The best example I've ever seen on this is from Sales Process IO, and they break down every single sort of key business model that exists. So an inside sales type model with outbound prospecting, paid traffic with inside sales, the effects of mid-funnel conversion on those actual sales, and then you can look at things which are more content heavy and paid traffic heavy, which are always sort of targeted towards B2C. Now, how do you actually identify which one is best for you? You can contact us and get this from us, but you can sort of see with the return on the money invested, a lot of these earlier options, outbound prospecting and inside sales, paid traffic and inside sales, you really need to be sales focused and B2B focused. You need to have something that's going to sell for more than $3,000, is going to renew. I know in our own business, we really have to have clients that spend at least on average 10 grand with us based on the agency model. That's what works on an annual basis for us to break even. For smaller products, you can do content channel marketing. You can do way more paid traffic as your focus, and it works a lot better for items that's essentially lower in cost. And a lot of this stuff, you know, modeling it can actually help you break down and understand how much can you spend per month, what should be your targets for acquisition, for leads, et cetera, et cetera. And this is sort of some of the stuff we go through with these customers, because a lot of the times they just have no idea and it's not marrying up. It's, you know, they think they've got a retail store, an e-commerce business, and they're going to go around and call up people and sell. That doesn't work. It doesn't scale at all. The customer profile, incredibly important. You need to understand as the entrepreneur, who is the person that you're selling to. So obviously, why should they buy the actual product? Who are they? Are they male or female? What's their age? So on, etc. Psychographics, what are their interests, needs, wants in life? What channels do they typically use? Are they more on Instagram? If they're, 25 to 40, are they more on Facebook if they're 50 plus? Who are their favorite influencers, celebrities, and brands? How can you differentiate yourself? These are really crucial questions that you have to ask, because I think it would be very naive to think that, you have some product and maybe there's not as many people doing it, or you think you can do it better. And I just think it's really naive to think you can beat a team that has all these resources, smarts, and people behind them, and that in a lot of these niches, people haven't uncovered the opportunity that may or may not exist. So I think you need to be really switched on and critical with yourself and skeptical around your idea and how it fits into the market, because otherwise you're not going to have anything different, and you're just not going to be successful. And that's what we try and do with with customers. We try and bring upon the reality to them and give them an understanding of how they're actually going to approach this. Next, we look at things like marketing goals. So a lot of clients, we honestly just focus on 1 to 2 goals maximum. It could be leads, it could be conversions, it could be brand awareness. So literally, how many impressions can we get? How aware can we make people of this specific brand? But generally, unless it's a really complex business, we focus on 1 to 2 goals as a starting point and move from there. And I think anyone should do that too. Assigning a budget to those goals per month or per year is really crucial for understanding more as a process of how much you're going to be spending. Content, this is more relevant if you are integrating content into your go-to-market strategy, but we often look at what are some of the messages, how do you speak to people, how are you going to pinpoint them, what's the tone of voice. People often forget how important it is maybe a visual identity or the words that are actually used when pushing out this content. And then of course, what themes or topics are going to exist within that. And then the final component with any marketing plan is what channels are we going to select from here? How often, what type of content, what are the topics, ideas that we had from above that are going into this specific platform? How often are they going out? These are all really, really important questions. And I think if you're at a very early stage, if you can focus on 1 or 2 channels at most, you're going to be far better off than just setting up a Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, every single social platform at any one time. Getting the basics right first is more valuable for your resources than being everywhere and being anything to anyone at any time, at anywhere, any price. The 5 A's, I call it, is always critical. So that's handy. I think if you want to get a hold of that, just contact us, Neural.com. More than happy to send this through to you guys. In future, we're going to look to get a more refined version, and we'll have that on our case study and resources page. But by all means, I'm sure the team and I would be happy to send this through for people who want it. So resources and strategies. These are some of the things we get asked for or asked about regularly. I think you need to look at marketing with a keen eye on what you're good at and what you can lean on. So some of the most crucial things for resources are understanding the key components, which is asset creation, paid performance marketing, copywriting, community engagement, content creation. These are all sort of your key components that a lot of agencies will often help. Some will specialize in certain areas. A full service agency will do many. I often find that when clients engage us, they will specifically focus on certain areas. The big one is asset design and copywriting, simply because they cost the most per hour and they often drive the type of content that is put out on social media, the website, etc. So I think if you can have an idea as to whether designing should be done in-house, whether copywriting should be done in-house, whether paid ad management should be done in-house, whether community engagement should be done in-house. Keep an eye on the thing that you think you can add the most value or bang for buck per dollar, per hour, whatever the indicator is that you're looking at, and then lean on a team, whether it's a freelancer, whether it's an agency, to help you with the other components. We get asked all the time, should we work with a consultant? My honest opinion, and yes, I'm biased because I run an agency, but the reality is you should just work with an agency. Start there, work with them. They're going to make you a much more astute professional at marketing and fully understand marketing and scale that process in the business over time as well. Other questions we get around resources are books, tools, and courses. Courses just don't waste your money. The reality is you're going to be better off spending the time and money testing on marketing across those key areas that I mentioned before. Tools, the no-brainer ones that we always mention are Ahrefs, SEMrush, and Moz. I think Ahrefs and Moz, particularly for Australian and US business owners, is really, really crucial for understanding the keywords that people are actually searching for. So that will often guide the topics that you talk about on social, that you write about on your blog, and that you talk to your customers about. Prime example, we thought we're going to talk about TikTok advertising for this video, but the reality was there were topics that ranked way higher and had way more volume and way more search terms. And small business marketing was one of those. So sometimes you have to check what you think is most important and actually find out what people want. Books, there's 2 really good books that I always go to. The first one is Hey Whipple, Squeeze This. Brilliant book for anyone who wants to understand the functions of marketing. This is really more from an agency point of view, but I think if you understand what agencies offer, you can understand all the key components of marketing in this era. And it's got the social component. This is sort of like an institutional book that people read in the industry. The other one, which is, I think, really good for copywriting, is the Copy Book. This is a classic for anyone wanting to get into the sort of art direction side of things, writing copy, creating assets. I often use this as a guide for pushing ideas to our team, and I think it's really handy just to get your juices flowing rather. And then another good one is Impossible to Ignore. Has a fantastic checklist for how to make content that really stands out. And I think those three are sort of the crucial ones that you should really be looking at. Hopefully that has helped. We've tried to cover the basics here on how to market in a small business in 2021. It's getting back to the basics. It's focusing on little things like the website. It's focusing on things that you can have impact on. So break down all of the key areas of your marketing plan. Look at it from a perspective of what can you outsource to an outside team and what can you do really, really well and maintain ownership of, and go from there. And over time, you will start to see results. This is not something that is going to change overnight. We get people who come on board for a social account and think, hey, it's been a month. Why hasn't anything changed? It takes time. Marketing is this constant thing that is ever changing and ever improving. And the better you get at it, the more impact it's going to have on your business. If you're still confused, we'd love to chat to clients or prospective clients. So just hit us up, Neural.com. There's no harm in giving us a call and asking us questions. You're more than justified to do so. You can check out our services as well on the website. And we're happy, of course, to send through that marketing plan. But if you like more content like this, if you want to learn more about marketing from an agency perspective, small business, mid-business, make sure you, of course, subscribe. Hit the like button if you like this. And in the comments section, let me know what has helped you the most as a small business or a small business marketer. Thanks for watching.